Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Crypto in Africa, and of course this channel is dedicated to reviewing news on blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and also checking out how the market is doing, and also how the news globally are affecting what's happening in Africa and vice versa. So today let's look at the markets, and of course Bitcoin as always is in position one. It's worth now on $11,813, and it only has a 0.777 percent up. That's how much the price went up this in the past 24 hours. So the change has been slow, but apart from that, there's actually quite a large number of bearish trends, and meaning that there's quite a lot of today. But now if we scroll back up and let's check on the overall chart of Bitcoin, can see over here, it's been currently at a low, but now it's currently rising again. But of course, in this show, guys, you know very well that we are more of investors, so we look at the long term. And speaking of long term, I have this chart that I discovered, which I feel like points out things so clearly. So these are the different coins you can see over here. There's Bitcoin with blue, there's Ethereum with red, Bitcoin Cash with a much more lighter blue, Dash, and Binance Coin. You select which coins you want to actually have. You can just put it on over there, and then you can compare all the prices of all the charts in one graph, under one graph. So you see there's Bitcoin with the blue, and you can see the gap between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, which is the next following when it comes to price. But one thing that I'm sure you guys have also seen is that most of areas where there's like a huge movement by Bitcoin in terms of price, the same thing happens with the other coins. This shows how much obviously Bitcoin carries so much power when it comes to making things happen or controlling the direction of the market. And this doesn't necessarily mean it's always Bitcoin, but most of the time the news come from Bitcoin having a huge influence in drastically changing the market price. And in some news, so I checked CoinDesk out, and I really pulled a very, very, very interesting article, especially for the sake of the blockchain industry as a whole. It says South Africa's central bank proposes rules for crypto companies. So what this means is that central banks have been looking into cryptocurrencies, and of course these are literally new markets that are being established. So then the central bank looked in it in a form of what's the best way that we can actually make this technology still take place, but in a much more controlled manner. So they decided that then they're going to start having some sort of registration process for existing wallets and service providers. You see this article here says crypto exchanges and wallet providers would have to register with regulators under rules proposed by South Africa's central banks. So you definitely just have to, well, as an exchange service provider, it means that you'll have to first register with regulators, because this is also to help protect the people that will be using the services under whichever cryptocurrency company you would have as an owner. And it also says that as such, the bank suggests that a useful starting point for regulating the space would be the introduction of a registration scheme for crypto asset service providers such as exchanges and wallet providers. All right, so useful starting point. And then next point that I found out to be quite very interesting is that the phased approach, starting with the registration requirement, could lead to a formal authorization and designation as a registered licensed provider for crypto asset services in South Africa at a later stage. So eventually, as time goes on, there could be a formal authorization and a designation as a registered provider for crypto asset services. That would have obviously officiated that cryptocurrency companies are now under the law and are protected, and even the users that are using them are protected. So everything is according to law once rules are implemented. And then the last point that also came across in this article, which I thought was very interesting, was what the Revenue Service of South Africa said. So it says back in April, the South African Revenue Service, the country's tax agency, said that normal tax rules are applicable for crypto earnings. That is, they may be treated under standard income tax rules, but may be liable for capital gains tax in some cases. So it'll be basically just taken like a normal payment, except that it's online and under a certain particular service. But I think this just clearly points out again how much, the influence of crypto really is seeping through and, distributing itself, excuse me, there, as distributing itself across all of the world, and especially in Africa, because that's where it's needed most. There's a high percentage of people that are underbanked that can't, of course, afford this. So such things would really help them, and of course also help the economy. So guys, this has been an amazing episode. I'm glad to be back. I'll catch you guys again in the next episode, and have a fantastic week. Cheers.